Okay, I'm not gonna lie, guys. There's just a lot of things to talk about. You see right in front of you, I have a bunch of tabs pulled up here, and the thing is, all of these tabs are actually important because yesterday we were just bombarded with news. For one, we had the Super Dragon Ball Hero stream yesterday, which you see I have pulled up right here. So this is obviously a very important stream because this basically gave us all of the major information on what we can look forward to for this year's crossover collaboration between Dokkan and Super Dragon Ball Heroes. And also, in terms of like a general kind of significance point, this is also basically the final kind of crossover between the two kind of platforms. So this is very special because obviously, you know, Super Dragon Ball Heroes is officially over. So yeah, this is a very special kind of a crossover collaboration, and this stream had a lot of major things to talk about, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But also there's some other kind of things to talk about as well in terms of what we have to discuss in this video. For one, we also had a new producer letter. So this producer letter came out around the same time as the stream. This was basically kind of giving us information on the whole campaign as well, the crossover collaboration. So most of the information here is the same as what you would see in the stream itself. But also, you know, within the producer letter, there were some other kind of pieces of information as well that were unique. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Besides that, you know, we got some EZA reveals and stuff. And we got one major EZA that a lot of us were expecting, which was right here with STR Bojack. So STR Bojack finally getting the EZA confirmed. I was hoping for the EZA for quite some time now. A lot of people were also hoping for the EZA. And, you know, when Bojack was one of the featured SSRs for the Lord Slug banner, which is still out by now, this was kind of like our confirmation that this may be happening. And obviously now that we see it right here, you'll notice in the video I'm going to be like all over the place and everything. My mind's going to be just a blur right now, but this was one of the things that got me so psyched because this is something I've been waiting for. I have a bunch of dupes for this character. I am so ready to go with this EZA. Also, aside from that, one final thing to kind of mention before we go ahead and just kind of get into the nitty-gritty kind of details for the vid. We also had a data download, so this kind of covers most of the information on the Super Dragon Ball Hero crossover collaboration, which is still a mouthful, jeez. But, you know, this was really focused on that, so we'll talk about this in just a moment as well, but there is just a lot of things to talk about. So, first thing first, I think it's only right that we start with the stream, because this is where things kind of kicked off yesterday. So, we'll talk about what the stream had to offer, and again, you know, this basically gave us all of the major things to look forward to for the crossover collaboration. So, a great deal of it was just talking, but we did see some other things as well. For one, this right here is going to be our free-to-play kind of a character that we can farm in Dokkan Awaken for free, right? So technically she is named as Female Warrior in Black. I don't know if that's her actual name in the actual show, but it is what it is. That's just the character's name, so there you go. And obviously, you know, again, free-to-play character it should be, so, you know, we can Dokkan Awaken her. She's going to be pretty fun, I would say. We'll have to look at her kit in just a moment, but yeah, that's going to be something right there for us. Also, one thing worth mentioning right here as we have it pulled up, this time is very interesting. So the Super Dragon Ball Hero crossover is going to be starting on November 6th, and it's going to be going to the end of the month. Usually, this is very interesting because usually the crossover campaign takes place for about 2 weeks, right? From like the middle to like close to the end of November to the end of the month, right? This time around, however, it's basically going from the beginning of the month, right? Or at least a couple days into the beginning of the month, right? November 6th. Into the end of the month. So it's much longer, so we may see much more in terms of new content, new characters and everything for the crossover campaign, but it is going to be very interesting to see what Dokkan is going to do, because obviously this being the final kind of crossover, they are going to try to make things end with a bang, I'm sure. And I mean, to that end, it's going to be very interesting to see what they have in store, because this is very different from what they usually do. So that is something as well that is very interesting, of course. But kind of moving on there, of course, we also have right here, this is like the campaign header, I guess if you want to call it that, for the whole kind of a Super Dragon Ball Hero crossover. And this basically kind of reveals to us who the new kind of 2 SSRs are going to be for the crossover, right? So maybe some interesting choices for sure, but we have Mini Few, I guess, or like Kid Few, and also we have Super Saiyan Blue Goku from like the universe-saving tree power right there. So we'll talk about those units in just a moment, but yeah, these are the 2 kind of new SSRs, at least headlining the crossover collaboration for this time around early on. Maybe we'll get some new characters down the line, but still, this is kind of like our headliner units. And I mean, a lot of people have had backlash about this specific kind of issue because a lot of people, myself included, we were thinking of some like, you know, Limit Breaker Gogetas and stuff, and characters of that nature. You know, Few is an interesting character, don't get me wrong. Goku is Goku, I love Goku, but, you know, Gogeta is obviously the more typical hype character for like just the random Dragon Ball fan. So I think, you know, based off what we see right now, I think this may be a tidbit of a fumble from Dokkan's point of view. Maybe, you know, because we have like 4 weeks or so for the whole kind of crossover campaign, maybe we will see a Part 2 LR or something that could be a Gogeta. But, you know, Part 1, I mean, they're still good characters, don't get me wrong. They're very appropriate for the whole crossover. They're still, I think, just in general, kind of a fumble, just slightly compared to what we were all kind of expecting, but it is what it is. So obviously, you know, we have those 2 characters to talk about. They kind of show them right here, of course. This is going to be, I guess, the banner, or not the banner, but this is going to be, I believe, the event. So This is some other things to kind of look forward to. This is also, by the way, the art for that SSR Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Blue Goku. So this is really badass. I'm not gonna lie. And also Few, of course, with his art. You know, we got some other characters, of course. Vegito from I believe it was last year, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Vegito from last year. Tech Super Saiyan God Trunks. You know, Demigra, of course. Hearts. So you know, typical kind of stuff right there, of course. And also right here, now we see all the characters, right? So let me have the internet load up for me there. But obviously you see, right, of course, the Super Saiyan Blue Goku with that art just looking really fire. I really love what they've done conceptually with all the different characters for Super Dragon Ball Heroes. I hope they continue with this kind of effort down the line with other kind of cards. But, I mean, obviously Super Dragon Ball Heroes is coming to an end, so this will be kind of like the end of these kind of concepts for probably some time. But, you know, Super Saiyan Blue Goku looks fire, Few looks fire. We can keep going, of course. I forget what all of the characters are named exactly, but we have, I believe her name is Amos, I believe. So we have her, Demigra, of course, and then I believe this is just Warrior in Black, Super Saiyan Warrior in Black or whatever. So we have some interesting characters, of course. Again, you know, I think Gogeta being missing does kind of suck. I think a lot of people have been saying that, they will continue to say that, but still, this is a very appropriate kind of cast list, I guess, if you will. Obviously, Goku, Few, Demigra, you know, I think it all kind of fits pretty nicely, all things considered, so there's that. Also, we do have the animations here, so I actually will go ahead and show the animations, because I myself have not reacted to them. I just made sure to pull up the stream earlier so I could talk about it, but we'll go ahead and look at the animations, of course, and then I guess we can go from there. So let's go ahead and check out these animations. And actually, I have no clue what to expect, so let's see what here. Okay, so it's looking pretty good so far. This is Amos, of course, right, with her thing. Nothing too crazy. I kind of like that. It's also a bit loud for me, so I'm going to turn it down. I'll adjust the audio for you guys, but yeah, this is kind of cool. This is Few, of course, the new Few we're getting. Kind of basic with his animations, I feel like. Goku's the prime one, though. Look at this. This OST is kind of fire, by the way. Yeah, he's looking good. He is looking clean. Intro, it seemed like right there. Yeah, that's fire. The way the coloring is working with him. Damn, yeah, that's clean. One more has to be said. Oh, with the Super Saiyan 4 Xeno Goku, right? Xeno Goku? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, you know what? That's what I'm talking about. You know what? I mean, it is disappointing we didn't get Gogeta. I keep saying it, but that's what I'm talking about. That was kind of sick right there. So obviously that was really fire, of course, with the animations. We didn't see all of the animations, I guess, but those are ones we did see. Also, this is actually something very important, by the way, while I'm talking about everything that's happening. We also got a bunch of new EZAs confirmed for Super Dragon Ball Heroes. So, of course, you know, we have Vegeta, we have Goku, Super Saiyan God Trunks, Xeno Pan. I believe that's Gohanks, or not Gohanks, but that's Vegeta Trunks or whatever. I forget all the characters now. It's like Gohanks and like all the different fusions or whatever. So we have a bunch of characters getting EZA'd, so that is going to be very exciting, of course. We actually did get the EZA reveals for the Tech Super Saiyan God Trunks as well as the Xeno Pan right here. But also with the data download, they did give us all of the other EZAs as well right here, so we'll talk about them all in just a moment. But just to make sure there's nothing else at the end, yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, you know, the stream, again, it basically covered the main things that we needed to know for the crossover collaboration. There are still some other kind of things left in the dark, if you will, but, you know, for the most part, it covered the main kind of important things. So, yeah, looking at the producer letter now, again, pretty much the same information as what we saw in the actual stream. So, we see right here, the missions from the special missions here will give us the female Warrior in Black for free, which we can Dokkan Awaken, so that's going to be a free-to-play character right there. It actually, the campaign is available starting from November 5th, so that's going to be tomorrow when I'm recording this, so that's going to be very fun, of course. The summons also, I should kind of point this out. So the campaigns and the summons will maybe be available at a later date. So that is something that a lot of people are expecting, is that the summons for the new Super Saiyan Blue Goku and the Few will happen later down the line because they are not part of the data download so far. So that's going to be kind of curious to see when they will come out. But that's right there. Also right here, so this is what we saw earlier. So a new kind of special event following the whole kind of battles, I guess, between the Super Dragon Ball Hero characters, so we can do that to get items to strengthen the characters, so that'll be kind of fun right there. And also another kind of a high difficulty event right here, so just kind of facing off all the different characters since 2020 that have been released and whatnot. Super class characters for stage 1, extreme class characters for stage 2, beat both stages, and you'll get a special wallpaper, so that's going to be really fun. Of course, the new kind of collaboration characters right here, so there you go, looking in their graceful kind of period. The event period will be announced in-game at a later date, so yeah, these guys will not be coming out just quite yet, maybe in like a week or so. But we'll have to wait and see when that happens. And then there's still more things to talk about. Of course, again, the EZAs that we talked about, of course, Super Saiyan Vegex or Vegeks, I guess I forget how to say the names for the fusions, Gohanks, Gotenks. So yeah, we got all these EZAs coming to the game. And that's going to be very awesome. Of course, they say right here, though, Super Dragon Ball Heroes will end its service, so this will be the final year that we're having a Super Dragon Ball Hero collaboration event. I will say there is a bit of a question, which I may talk about in a later video, but there is a bit of a question, what is going to happen to these characters? Because, like, for me personally, and I'm sure a lot of people are like this, not all of us summon on these types of banners because, we're saving for the anniversaries or something, so we don't summon for this banner usually. So, will these guys come back yearly for, like, a random Super Dragon Ball Hero banner or something? What's gonna happen? We don't know exactly. That's my hope, but I'll talk about it probably in a later video, but that's kind of like the elephant in the room in terms of, like, a weird question that still needs to be answered. So, either way, though, this is basically the final kind of collaboration event, so definitely something to remember. I guess it's like good times. Hopefully we can enjoy this kind of a celebration while it's still here. And also, they're still saying right here, we're still planning to strengthen collaboration characters by EZAing them and more, so please look forward to it. So that does mean, older characters, or new characters, I should say, like, for example, the Super Saiyan Blue Goku right here, or a few or other characters like them. Eventually, when they do need an EZA, they still will get their EZA, even though Super Dragon Ball Heroes will be done as far as collaborations are concerned, so that is going to be something as a bit of a reassurance for us as players. And then right here, this is the final thing, not really related to the Super Dragon Ball Hero crossover, but obviously, they're having a fan meetup for the 10th anniversary, which is going to be happening at the end of January next year. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And actually, they're saying it right here, the location and the date will be the same time as the Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour for 2025. So yeah, it's going to be very fun. It's going to be very exciting. We'll have to see what happens then, because by then they'll talk about the 10th anniversary more and probably new mechanics and stuff. But this is just kind of like an additional kind of piece of information. This really is not related compared to the other stuff for the Super Dragon Ball Hero crossover collaboration, which every time I say it, man, it's just a mouthful every time I'm trying to say it. But yeah, so there's that. Also, because I'm seeing my boy right here. Shout out to Raudo-kun, shout out to Pure Brutality, some of the boys, of course. They're talking about, more summon characters coming, obviously the 4 weeks for the celebration compared to 2 weeks. So yeah, they're absolutely right. I mean, the fact that this is a 4-week celebration, even though it's compared to 2 usually, and the fact that we still haven't gotten the summons for the Super Saiyan Blue Goku and the new characters, there is a bit of a weird kind of question of, how many summons will we get? We may see more characters, maybe we won't see more characters, we don't know, but it's all kind of interesting stuff for sure, so we'll have to wait and see on all of that. But, that's obviously what we have to talk there. Of course, we have the EZA stuff to cover as well in just a moment. It's right down here somewhere. But also, this is the last thing I want to cover before we go into all the new kind of characters, right? So, this is our data download that just took place earlier. So, obviously, we see that in Female Warrior in Black, the new character, of course, we are getting new stages for the quest mode. So, Area 37 stages 5 through 8, so we're getting that, of course. We'll have to see if any of them could be some cheeky kind of, whatchamacallit, link level stages. So we'll have to see that, of course. We are getting a special kind of event for the Super Dragon Ball Hero kind of fights, if you will, an EZA area kind of stage right there. The EZA for Bojack, the EZAs for the Dragon Ball Hero characters. So we're getting a bunch of stuff there, but nothing too crazy, just a pretty straightforward kind of data download, all things considered. Still a lot of fun things, though. So yeah, it's all crazy. And now we can talk about all of the EZAs. So like I said, in the stream, they only showed us the details for Super Saiyan God Trunks and Xeno Pan, and then also later they gave us the EZA details for SDR Bojack, of course. But thanks to the data download, we also now have the EZA information for all of these characters, along with, of course, the information for the new Female Warrior in Black. So we have a lot of characters to talk about. Let's go ahead and we'll start off. I believe I have this set up so it's going to be mostly in order in terms of how they're ordered. So we'll start with Toa, I believe. So we'll look at the EZAs, of course. So for Toa, and buckle in, guys, because there are going to be a lot of EZAs to talk about. So for Toa, Dragon Ball Heroes category, Ki plus 3, HP attack and defense 77%, or STR typing, Ki plus 3, HP attack and defense 50%, raises or greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes supreme damage to enemy, nothing too crazy, of course. She just came out, by the way, last year, so for her to get an EZA this time around, that's kind of interesting, but still nice to see. Also, for the passive skill, so attack and defense plus 200%, plus another 150% to both when performing a super. High chance of dodging, which is a 50% chance to dodge as a second or third slot unit in a turn, plus an additional chance to dodge plus 5% up to 15%, excuse me, with each attack evaded. So, with each attack she's dodging, she's boosting her dodge chance in general. So once this is built up right here specifically, 15% right there. So 3 attacks dodging, then 15% right there on top of the 50% right there. So that's 65% chance to dodge when this is all built up right there. So that's kind of nice for a character like Towa. Also, all allies attack and defense plus 30% when there are 3 or more extreme class allies on the team. All allies gain 15% 2 stats for 2 turns after this character evades 3 or more attacks, including a super, in battle when there are another 3 or more extreme class allies on the team once only. And then right down here, plus an additional 100% 2 stats when performing a super. All allies will gain an additional key plus 2 and attack and defense plus 20%, and she will change AGL key spheres to STR key spheres, excuse me, when all characters are in the Dragon Ball Heroes or crossover category. So, my brief thoughts on Towa, I think she's actually kind of solid. I mean, we'll have to see how she performs, of course. She doesn't necessarily have, like, the best leader by any stretch of the imagination, of course. Her stats are probably not the best in terms of, like, what we expect, but still, she has some really good potential. I will say that. I mean, being able to have the dodging, of course, being a second or third slot unit, that's really nice. I would say I really appreciate that for her. Being a support, I think that's really something that's really important, is that her support ability is just right there in front of you, and it's really easy to access. I mean, most of it's kind of blocked by the whole the three or more extreme class allies and all the whole category restrictions. So some minor restrictions, but still, she is pretty good. And also, I mean, the stats could be much better, but they're still really good for a character like Towa. So I really do like this for what it is. So that's my positives for her. Also, categories, I don't really talk about these characters too much. So, with the categories, Dragon Ball Heroes, of course, Peppy Gals, that's going to be a really big plus to have her there. Resurrected Warriors, of course, Time Traveler, Siblings Bond, other categories, including Demonic Power. This is a new category that came with Lord Slug. So Towa being on that's going to be really awesome as well. So I do really love that, of course, Battle of Wits, things like that, so it's going to be really awesome for her. Next up, we have Xeno Vegeta, so Super Saiyan Vegeta, 150% leader to the Vegeta family category, so that's nice, of course. Greatly raises attack and defense, causes supreme damage to the enemy, and greatly lowers attack, so he is stacking. That is important, of course. Stacking characters are really fun. He came out, by the way, in 2021, so he's been due for an EZA. Stacking characters are very fun. Again, I just said it just like 5 seconds ago. They are very fun if you can get them in the right positions, like Tech Gohan, for example. This could be another character that has a lot of fun in the right position, so we'll have to see. Attack and defense plus 150%, so a very minor kind of stat boost. Nothing too crazy, but we'll see what else he has. Guards all attacks and launches an additional guaranteed super for 1 turn from the character's entry, so I wish this were a bit longer, just off rip, just seeing what it is. But it is what it is. It's still something, so I'll take that, I guess. Plus an additional 150% 2 stats when there is another Vegeta family or Dragon Ball Hero category ally on the team. Vegeta family allies get additional key plus 3 and attack and defense plus 50% for support, which is crazy, actually. Plus an additional attack plus 77% when performing a super attack, and launches an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super if there is another Dragon Ball Hero category ally in the same turn when attacking, or an extreme class ally when attacking, or extreme class enemy, when attacking. So, yeah, Vegeta, okay, here's my cons. Let me talk about my cons with Vegeta. My con with Vegeta, really, is that his stats are pretty low to start things off. I wish he had maybe like 200% right here, maybe like 250, but like, he's still good, and I wish maybe he had guard. That's another thing, losing the guard, that does suck. If he had more guard, if he had some sort of damage reduction, that would be huge, because without those sorts of defensive mechanics, he's really good in fights that take a while to build up, and not many fights can say that they do that, so Vegeta may be suffering in that sort of regard. Of course, being able to stack is still good. The stat boost he's getting, the support he can do for Vegeta's family is all really good. And also, I mean, the restrictions he has for like category options, those are really minor, so I really do love that, but still, it does kind of suck some of the lacking things that he has in his kit, or doesn't have in his kit, I should say. But also, categories, so Vegeta's family, Pure Saiyans, Time Travelers, Worthy Rivals, Dragon Ball Heroes Crossover, Defender of Justice, Gifted Warriors, Super Saiyans, Bonded Parent and Child, all really good stuff, of course. We love to see it, so, I mean, there's not much more to say. Alright, Super Saiyan Goku, so another kind of interesting character here, pretty much the same, it seems, in terms of his design compared to Vegeta, right? So 150% to the leader for Goku's family characters, greatly raises attack and defense, so the same kind of stacking right there, causes supreme damage. Great chance to stun. This is different because you see a great chance to stun right here, right there, instead of Vegeta, who is greatly lowering attack. So that is a bit of a difference between the two. Attack and defense plus 150%, so the same thing there. Reduces damage received by 50% and launches additional guaranteed super for 1 turn from the character's entry. So minor difference there. Wish the 50% damage reduction lasted a bit longer, but it is what it is. Bonus 150% to stats when there's a Goku's family or Dragon Ball Heroes category ally, same as Vegeta in terms of the design. Support for Goku's family, so this is nice, of course, right there. Also, additional attack plus 77% when performing a super, and launches an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super if there's another Dragon Ball Heroes category ally in the same turn, or if there's an extreme class enemy when attacking. So this Goku is pretty much built the exact same as Vegeta with some minor discrepancies to make them feel like different units. So really nothing too crazy. Obviously the leader is different in terms of the categories. The restrictions are different because instead of Goku's family for Goku, you have Vegeta's family for Vegeta. You know, greatly lowering attack versus stunning right here. The damage reduction here versus the guard for Vegeta on that first turn. So some small stuff like that, but nothing too crazy. For Goku, though, he is, you know, on a lot of categories himself, which are pretty nice, including one that's not on Vegeta's side of things, or two, actually. So, Pure Saiyans, you know, Time Travelers, Goku's family, Kamehameha, of course, Dragon Ball Heroes crossover, Turtle School, which Vegeta's not on, Defender of Justice, Super Saiyans, Bond of Parent and Child, and also Earth-bred fighters. Obviously, Goku was raised on Earth. Vegeta was not. So, I mean, that's pretty much the reason why the category is there, but it's still a benefit for Goku, so we'll take it. Who do I think is better? To be honest, I think they're kind of equivalent. I'm just gonna say they're equivalent. I would say they're so equivalent. It's really hard to say that either of them are better than the other, because the things that they have that make them unique, for the most part, are gone. So they're pretty much the same unit after like the first turn. But I think, you know, if I have to choose between the debuffing and the stunning, I would say I would take the debuffing, because I just feel like there are more bosses that are susceptible to debuffing with attack compared to bosses who are susceptible to stuns. So maybe that's just like my personal bias there. Also, to be fair, Goku, you know, has more categories that he fits on that are better, so it's a trade-off, but it is what it is. Alright, Super Saiyan 3 Gohanks, or Gohanks, I forgot how you say it. So, Super Int type, Ki plus 3, HP attack and defense plus 130%. Terrible leader skill when you think about it, because Super Int is very limiting. Obviously, there are a lot of good Extreme Int characters, so, you know, this is kind of limiting in that sort of regard, but it is what it is. Greatly raises attack and defense for one turn, causes supreme damage to the enemy, and seals a super guaranteed. So that can be very helpful when you can find the position for it. So that can be pretty nice right there. Attack and defense plus 150%, plus another 150% to attack only when performing a super, plus an additional attack and defense plus 30% with each super that is performed up to 150%. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Launches 2 additional supers guaranteed when there is another crossover ally in the same turn, or when the target opponent is in the attack down or defense down status. Performs a critical hit when there is another Super Saiyan 3 ally in the same turn. Okay, this is kind of interesting. So, you know, Gohanks is, I'm just going to call him Gohanks. I don't know if it's Gohanks or Gohans. I'm going to call him Gohanks. Gohanks is, I actually like him. I think he's actually pretty good, but just, I feel like he's good, but he's not good enough. That's the thing. I feel like that's what I've been feeling like for a lot of these characters so far, is, you know, the 150% right there, plus another 150% with 5 supers performed. So, you know, that's going to be really nice. The attack boost is nice. The greatly raising for the 1 turn is nice. You know, the 2 additional guaranteed supers, that's going to make his damage a lot more powerful than just on its own, especially because, the, you know, crossover ally, that's pretty easy. The target enemy being an attack or defense down status does kind of suck, because Gohanks can't do it himself. You need to rely on another character to do it. But it's still a pretty easy, quote-unquote, you know, kind of condition to meet. Super Saiyan 3 ally, so he's got some nice stuff. I just don't think it's good enough. Is that fair to say? I feel like that's fair to say. It's just not good enough. I feel like there's more. We've seen what good EZAs and what good characters look like nowadays. You know, they need damage reduction, they need guard, they need dodge, they need some sort of combination of the 3. They need a bunch of stat boosts, they need all sorts of stuff. And if you don't have those things, you're just mediocre, or you're at least being set up to fail. That's the reality of the situation. So I think that can be said for Gohanks as well right here. Even though I would like to believe he can still be good, we'll have to wait and see, of course. But, you know, for the categories, of course, you know, Fusion, of course, really nice right there. Hybrid Saiyans, Time Travelers, Dragon Ball Heroes crossover, the same 2 we'll see for all these characters. Defender of Justice, Time Limit, Super Saiyan 3, Fused Fighters, Earthbred Fighters, Power Beyond Super Saiyan. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, nothing too crazy. Alright, Gotenks. This one I know how to say the name of. So Gotenks, 130% to the stats for Super AGL, so same kind of leader skill. Greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes supreme damage to the enemy, lowers attack and defense. So basically, we'll see with the passive 2, I can already see right here. You want to run Gotenks with Gohanks if you have the 2. If you have the 2, you want to run them together. They kind of feed off of each other. So, you know, with Gotenks right here, same thing right here, 150% to the stats. Same thing right here, attack plus 150 when performing a super. Same thing here, attack and defense plus 30% with each super performed up to 150% right there, so 5 supers. Launches 2 additional guaranteed supers when there's another crossover ally in the same turn, or when the target enemy is stunned, or when the enemy is enemy's super attack is sealed. So that kind of works again with Gohanks. Performs a guaranteed crit when there's another Super Saiyan 3 ally. Well, guess what? Gohanks is also a Super Saiyan 3, so that kind of works out right there. And also, the linking. The linking works out pretty nicely between the two. Only 2 links are different, I believe, if I can check real quick. Yeah. So obviously, Innocence and Kamehameha here versus Gohanks, who has Brain Axe and Cold Judgment. So that is a bit of a difference. But also, the categories, they are pretty much the same for the most part. One major difference, I believe, is right here with Kamehameha. I believe Gohanks does not have that, right? So there's, 3, 6, 9, 11, 12, or 9, 11, 12, I can't count. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 categories right there. For Gotenks, that is 12 categories, yeah. So Kamehameha is a different category for the two characters, but it is what it is, nothing too crazy. Vegeks, is it Vegeks or Vegeks? I forget how to say these characters' names. Okay, Vegeks. So Vegeks, 100% to the stats for SDR typing, so more kind of approachability, I guess, because it's extreme and regular STR, super STR types, but lower in stats, so it is what it is. Greatly raises defense. Stacking the defense is really helpful in certain fights, so we'll like to see what we can do here. Raises attack for 1 turn, causes supreme damage to the enemy, so all interesting stuff. Okay, kind of interesting here. So same thing as with the other two, 150% to the stats in general, plus an additional 150% to both stats actually when performing a super, so that's different. Plus an additional attack plus 30% up to 150%, and chance of performing a crit plus 20% with each super attack performed. I'll come back to this in just a moment. Key plus 2 and launches an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super when there's another crossover or Super Saiyan ally in the same turn. All attacks become guaranteed crits and launches an additional guaranteed super when the target enemy is in the attack down status, in the defensive down status, stunned, or they are sealed. So any one of those debuffs, they're getting guaranteed crits and an additional guaranteed super, which will allow them to further boost their defense stacking. So that can be really nice. But here's the thing. So when it comes to Vegeks, you don't need to build them for crit. I mean, that's the thing. That's really cool actually about them, is you don't need to build them for crit at all. If anything, you build them for dodge and for additional. Probably heavy dodge, a bit of additional, but they have a lot of stuff. Obviously, the stats are pretty good, of course. They kind of swapped to the whole attack and defense 150% here with the attack flat out boost right here, compared to like Gotenks and Gohanks right there. But also right here, with a chance of performing a crit plus 20%, there is no limit to this. It's not capped up at 40% or 60%. There is no limit to this. So with each super they perform, Vegeks is able to boost their crit hit chance more and more and more, to the point that, it's going to be crazy. So that is going to be really awesome. So I really do love that, the additional attack right here that has a high chance to become a super. So there's 1 right there, plus the regular, so that's 2. Launches an additional right there, so that's 3, with a hidden potential, that's 4. 4 stacks within a turn of defensive stacking, that can be pretty nice. But again, I think with the hidden potential for a lot of these characters, actually, not just Vegeks, I think a lot of them you want to put dodge in them in terms of their kits, because they need it. I would say that for sure. And then for Vegeks, a bit less in the categories: Patara, Time Travelers, Dragon Ball Heroes, Crossover, Defender of Justice, Time Limit, Super Saiyans, and Fused Fighters. Super Saiyans, by the way, I didn't talk about it too much, but characters in the Super Saiyans category are going to be in a nice kind of position, because if you have all the right characters for, the kind of specific needs, then they can fit into the Super Saiyan Trio team. And the Super Saiyan Trio, with all the support and everything they do with the double lead, that can be kind of nasty. So we could see some very nasty kind of setups here for these types of characters. So this is going to be really awesome for sure. Let's keep going. Of course, we still have a bunch of other EZAs. Pan Zeno. So this is one we saw earlier. HP attack and defense plus 170% for the crossover category. So this is pretty nice right there. Key plus 3 as well. Greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, supreme damage and high chance to stun. Also down here, attack and defense plus 140%, plus an additional 70% to both stats when performing a super. Crossover allies will gain key plus 3 and attack and defense plus 40%, plus an additional 20% for characters who are also in the Dragon Ball Heroes category specifically. So a nice bit of support right there. A great chance to perform a crit and a great chance to dodge. So 70% chance to do a crit and a 70% chance to dodge as well. So that's really awesome right there. Plus an additional defense plus 70% within the same turn with each attack that is evaded, including the super. So that is going to be really awesome right there. Of course, incentivizing you to put her maybe in the first slot potentially, or maybe the second slot, whatever it is. But still, being able to boost the defense while she's dodging in case she decides not to dodge, that will be helpful for sure. And then also, the last thing here, plus an additional 70% to those stats, and all allies gain a chance to performing a crit hit increased by 15% per crossover ally in this attacking in the same turn. So if you have a full team of crossover allies, 2 more allies right in the same turn besides Pan, that means 140% to the stats for allies in general, or actually for herself, I should say, plus an additional 140% for herself, and plus an additional 30% to crit chance for all allies. So I have to see how she performs. I feel like I say that with a lot of these characters, but I do need to see how she performs. I don't think she's great. I think she's pretty damn good. I think that's what I'm going to say. She's pretty damn good. Also, the categories, right? I mean, we have to talk about it. She's on some nice kind of categories here, of course. Dragon Ball Heroes, Hybrid Saiyans, Goku's Family, Youth. That's actually a really nice one for sure. Time Travelers, Crossover, Defender of Justice, Bond of Parent and Child, Earthbound Fighters. Why is she not on Peppy Gals? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the kind of criteria is for someone to not be on Peppy Gals, but I feel like Pan should qualify, but that's just me. Pan is obviously not on it, so it is what it is. Alright, the other one, so Super Saiyan God Trunks. This is the other one we kind of saw here. So 180% and a key plus 4 for Dragon Ball Heroes category, specifically in terms of characters. Greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn. Immense damage to the enemy. Seals a super. So that's going to be really awesome right there. Key plus 1 and attack and defense plus 50% per Dragon Ball Heroes or Time Travelers category ally on the team, depending on which category has more members. Plus an additional 100% 2 stats and a great chance to perform a crit when performing a super attack. Plus an additional defense plus 50% when performing a super, and randomly changes key spheres of a certain type to rainbow key spheres if all allies in the same turn are Dragon Ball Heroes or Time Traveler category characters, which, to be fair, this is something you want anyways because this is based off what he gets for his stat boosts. And also down here, launches 2 additional attacks, each of which has a high chance to become a super if all allies in the team are Dragon Ball Heroes or Time Traveler category characters. I do think Super Saiyan God Trunks is worse than Pan. I think that's safe to say because he lacks defensive versatility. That's what I would say because, Pan, she at least has that great chance to dodge. This is really saving her in terms of her value. For Trunks, he does not have that. He doesn't stack, he doesn't have damage reduction, he doesn't have guard. He has none of those things. So he's really kind of predicated on you running him in one of 2 teams right here, right? Dragon Ball Heroes or Time Travelers. And if you don't run him on those 2 teams, he's not going to really be working. So it's kind of nice that they kind of make certain characters special for certain teams. At the same time, Trunks, he's not that special. Even in his teams, he's not that special, I guess. So yeah, I don't like Trunks that much. Let me just say that. But he's on a lot of categories. Dragon Ball Heroes, Hybrid Saiyans, Realm of Gods, Time Travelers, Vegeta's Family, Bottom Master and Disciple, Battle of Wits, Crossover, Defender of Justice, Legendary Existence, Miraculous Awakening, Entrusted Will, Power Beyond Super Saiyan, Bond of Parent and Child, Earthbred Fighters, Power Wishes. Super Saiyan God is saving Trunks in terms of categorical versatility and diversity. It's just that you don't want to run him on half of those categories. And if you do, you're basically forced to run a Hybrid Saiyan team, for example, that consists of Time Traveler characters or Dragon Ball Hero characters, right? Otherwise, Trunks is screwed. So I keep coming back to that point. But yeah, this is I don't want to say this is a bad EZA. I just don't like it. It's not my cup of tea. I don't believe I even have this unit, so I'm not going to go crazy for not having this unit. I'm not going to be like, oh no, like it's whatever. It is what it is. All right, let's keep going. Who else we have next? Okay, we have Meki Kabura, I believe is how you say their name. I forgot the character already. So they're a 150% lead for the whole crossover category. Greatly raises attack. So this is a stacking effect right here. Greatly raises defense for 1 turn. Supreme damage lowers attack and defense. So liking what I'm seeing so far. Plus key plus 1 and attack and defense plus 200%, plus an additional 100% 2 stats when performing a super nice. Randomly changes key spheres of a certain type other than AGL orbs to rainbow key spheres, plus an additional 25% to attack and defense per key sphere obtained, plus an additional attack and defense plus 100% with 2 or more AGL key spheres obtained, plus an additional attack plus 100% with 2 or more SDR or physical key spheres obtained, plus an additional defense plus 100% with 2 or more tech or int key spheres obtained. Jesus, this is just a lot of the same stuff here. Recovers 10% HP and reduces damage received by 10% per rainbow key sphere obtained. That's actually pretty nice. And launches an additional guaranteed super with 2 or more rainbow key spheres obtained. Okay, it feels to me, let me just say this right now before people kind of go crazy on me here. Don't grill me for this. It feels like Meki Kabura, if I can say their name right, it feels like they're like a weaker AGL Dokkan Fest Namek Vegeta, right? Dirty Fireworks Vegeta, because they have the stats, right? 200% right there, plus another 100% right there, so that's pretty nice. They're also wanting to get a bunch of orbs to boost their stats. And obviously right here, these are basically like the same kind of mechanic, right? Attack for one side, defense for another side. Really, you want the AGL orbs because that gives you both for, the same kind of focus. So that's what you want to go for. This is also pretty nice. The damage reduction is really appreciated because that means that the damage reduction will be really helpful. The HP recovery will be pretty nice. I wish they could maybe stack defense because then that will make them a lot better. But I like them. I think they're one of my favorites so far in terms of the list of EZAs and stuff to look forward to. So I really do like them. Dragon Ball Heroes, Resurrected Warriors, Realm of Gods, Time Travelers, Crossover. Storied Figures is a category that would really benefit from having a nice kind of a character like this right here, so that's going to be really nice. Terrifying Conquerors, Power Wishes, Demonic Power. That is also a really nice W right there for Demonic Power. More options. Most of the good options for Demonic Power just so happen to be Gohan's. But, yeah, I mean, more Demonic Power, we love to see it, so we'll take it, of course. Let's see what else we have. So this should be one of the final ones here. So Female Warrior in black. So I believe this is the final one, actually, for the Super Dragon Ball Hero kind of EZAs. So obviously 50% to attack and defense and HP. Keep us 3, so that's going to be pretty straightforward for the crossover category. She's a free-to-play character, to be fair, so she's not going to be that special. Causes supreme damage to the enemy, raises its attack and defense for 3 turns, okay? Attack and defense plus 150%, plus an additional 100% to stats when performing a super. All allies will gain Ki plus 2 and attack and defense plus 30%, so she is a support. Great chance to perform a crit, which is 70% chance right there, plus an additional attack and defense plus 150% when the character is the only crossover category character on the team. That's very interesting, actually, which kind of feeds into the title of the passive, I guess, Power of Love, that cuts all ties, right? So cutting the ties with the other crossover characters. Plus an additional attack and defense plus 30% with each attack performed up to 120%, and launches 2 additional attacks, each of which has a medium chance to become a super when there is another crossover category ally on the team. So they give you an opportunity for her to work on her own and with other crossover allies, which I really do appreciate. That allows for more kind of versatility and options right there. And right here, attack and defense plus 86% for the character and allies whose names include Yamcha, and randomly changes key spheres of a certain type other than int key spheres to int key spheres at the start of the character's attacking turn when there is an Earth Red Fighters category ally in the same turn. So this is kind of funny. So in case you guys don't remember, in the actual kind of a show or the snippet or whatever, the episode when she showed up, she and Yamcha somehow flirted and it made it work. It was kind of funny, actually, now that I think about it. But, you know, Yamcha spitting out that Riz, of course. You know, Yamcha's got game. Dado Doya knows how to pick a favorite character. Shout out to him because he loves Yamcha. I get it, because Yamcha, he's got game. But, oh, man. Okay, so this is kind of funny here. So, okay, well, let me just talk about her. So, when it comes to her, not the best character, of course, you know, free-to-play character. The stats are not going to be that special. The categories also are not that special. Tournament participants, Peppy Gals, Time Travelers, and then the 2 typical ones we expect. But she has some nice things about her. I mean, the support is appreciated, of course. You know, the built-in crit is nice. You know, 150%. If she's the only crossover ally, is pretty helpful, of course. You know, if you want to run her on a different team, like Peppy Gals, maybe. The extra 120% to stats with each attack performed, building up for 4 attacks, right, and the 2 additional attacks. You know, that's all pretty nice. I honestly feel like it's better that you keep her by herself because the stat boosts are better. And then this is actually kind of interesting right here. Of course, you know, this is kind of like a really niche, kind of funny, kind of quirky kind of thing with her kit, but being able to work with Yamcha, being able to be an orb changer because her Boo is on the field, that's going to be pretty funny, of course. So, you know what? I'm here for it. I'll take it. It is what it is. I'm here for it. I'm fine with it. So, there you go. That's going to be the final kind of character for the Super Dragon Ball Hero crossover collaboration. Far as like the free-to-play character and the EZA characters are concerned, we still are missing 2 major important characters, which are actually 5 major characters, I should say. One of which, of course, is the Super Saiyan God Goku right here, Fu, Eos, Demigura, and the Warrior in Black. So we're missing these 5, of course. We'll see their kits probably later when they're going to be released. But yeah, that's going to be it for like the Super Dragon Ball Hero stuff. We still have one final thing to talk about, and that's Bojack right here. The boy, Bojack, with his EZAs. This is the one I'm really excited for, because I have Bojack again with dupes. I'm excited to see what he can do. So, 170% 2 stats and Ki plus 3 for Space Traveling Warriors or Time Travelers. So, pretty nice. I do appreciate Time Travelers and Space Traveling Warriors being the lead, because those are 2 categories that I could benefit from having like another option, so I'll take that. Greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes immense damage to the enemy, so nothing too crazy right there. Attack and defense plus 150%, supporting extreme class allies with attack and defense plus 30%, so that's pretty nice, universal. Space Traveling Warriors or Inhuman Deeds category allies, Ki plus 2 and attack and defense plus 30% when facing 1 or more enemy, plus an additional 15% to stats when facing 2 or more enemies, plus an additional 15% on top of that when facing 3 or more enemies. So, only for these 2 types of category allies will Bojack be able to give up to another 60% to support. So that's going to be kind of badass right there. But still 30% at minimum. That's really nice, of course. Plus an additional attack and defense plus 30% up to 120% when attacking per Space Traveling Warrior or Inhuman Deed category ally on the team other than himself, depending on which category has more members. So Basically, you want 4 other Space Traveling Warrior or Inhuman Deed category allies on the team to kind of maximize this, and then guards all attacks when there are 5 or more Space Traveling Warriors or Inhuman Deeds category allies on the team. So that is kind of interesting. Guaranteed guard, which is nice, but only with specific teams. I'm not a big fan of that sort of stuff. We still have another part of Bojack, which is the full power form, but I'm not a big fan of stuff like this. I actually have both categories pulled up here because of this purpose, but we'll talk about it in just a moment. The support is really good. You know, support is really nice. Being able to work with those kind of categories is really helpful. The guard is really nice. He's got some really good stuff. You know, the transformation condition, by the way, while we're here, it's the same as it was before, so it can be done when facing only one enemy starting from the 4th turn from the start of battle. So from turn 4 onward, when you face one enemy, then Bojack can transform. But I mean, the thing about this is I never really like when there's a lot of category restrictions, because that means you can't really achieve the full potential of a character in a bunch of different teams. I mean, look at Bojack. He's on Space Traveling Warriors, Time Travelers, Resurrected Warriors, Movie Bosses, Full Power, Terrifying Conquerors, Inhuman Deeds, Transformation Boost, Story Figures, Tournament Participants actually, and Legendary Existence. Half of these teams you can't put him on and help him reach his full potential necessarily, at least in terms of his base form, without, you know, characters being from either the Space Traveling Warrior or the Inhuman Deed category. So that is kind of frustrating. To be fair though, when we look at both categories, right, Space Traveling Warriors has some good options, right? I guess, I mean, to be fair, you would say that this Frieza is a good kind of character within the category, even though his kind of requirements are not that great. I mean, definitely Jiren is a part of that list. The Tech Jiren, if you compare the two, obviously this is only on JP for now, but maybe he'll come soon to Global, so they're a great option, of course, for the category. Dispo, of course, if you're trying to build like a Tournament of Power team. Cocoette, I believe her name is, Topo. So there's some options, but I think the better choice is Inhuman Deeds, because obviously you have the Dirty Fireworks Vegeta, you have the Slug, who is a leader for the category, right? Also, you have the Worldwide Celebration Brolys, right? Part 2 Broly, Part 1 Broly, if you pull them, there you go. You have the Tech EZA Broly right here. You have a bunch of characters. You have even the Vegeta who exchanges into Goku, who's not that great, but still, you know, they're a part of the team. Who else we have? I know we have some other counter characters. I think actually we have the Int Broly right here with the EZA, of course. Let me see if I can find another one. We have Goku Black right there, of course, the Rosé right there. I don't even think I brought him up. And then there's also, right here, there we go. I knew I forgot these two. We have the Full Power Super EZA for Frieza, and the Super EZA for the legendary Super Saiyan Broly right there. So, I mean, if you have to choose, I think it's kind of clear that you want to run Bojack in a team with Inhuman Deeds, but yeah, I just don't like the category restrictions, even though I think Bojack has a lot of things to offer in terms of support and all the things. I like what he has to offer. I saw some people saying he may be mid. I saw some people saying he may be cracked. I don't think he's either. I think he's like in between. But still, we have more to talk about. But so far from the base form, he's pretty good. I'll say that. He's not great, but he's pretty good in my opinion. Okay, let's look at Bojack. Bojack, Full Power, I should say, is the final part to this kit. So, greatly raises attack, greatly raises defense for 1 turn, and causes immense damage to the enemy. So this is a stacking mechanic. This is really nice. This is really nice because the attack could be pretty crazy with Bojack then. Key +3, attack and defense plus 240%, and guards all attacks guaranteed. I am liking what I'm seeing. Launches an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super. I'm liking what I'm seeing there, no conditions there. Randomly changes key spheres of a certain type other than STR orbs into STR key spheres, alright. Plus an additional attack and defense plus 120% when attacking. Attack plus 60% and defense plus 30% when attacking with 3 or more key spheres obtained, plus an additional attack plus 60%, and launches another additional attack that has a high chance to become a super when attacking with 6 or more key spheres obtained. Okay, I can see why some people think Bojack's cracked. I'm not gonna lie, because the pre-transform Bojack is really awesome as a support. That is really awesome for Bojack. I wish he kept the support right here, but still, when you transform him, Bojack doesn't need anyone. He doesn't need any sort of ally. He doesn't need any sort of teammate. He is able to cook on his own. The only thing about him is similar to Kefla, right? Like the Kefla EZA, where you need the orbs, and he's changing orbs, so that will make him really accessible for that sort of focus, right? So that's going to be really helpful. Of course, you know, 120% right there plus 240, that's what, like 360, so 390% to the stats right there. You know, the extra kind of 60-60, so that's 300. Can I do math? Jeez, that's like 480% to the attack if I can do math right. So Bojack can be crazy. Also, stacking attack means he can do even more crazy damage. This is really awesome. This is so sick. How is his attack stat, by the way? 19k. 19k is pretty good for a 100% EZA. So, gee, I don't know. I think Bojack's good. I think Bojack is pretty good. I think Bojack's pretty good, fellas. I'm not gonna lie. I'm liking Bojack a bit more every day. I wish Bojack's pre-transform phase again, not as many category restrictions. But I like what he can do as base form. I like what he can do as transform form. I like that they are different because his transformation is an active skill. You can choose to keep the support, or you can choose to let Bojack become him, stack, and whoop ass. So I really do like that. Bojack, I don't know if he's top 1. I'm probably going to give that to Goten and Trunks for like TUR EZAs. But Bojack is up there. Bojack is up there in my opinion. We'll have to see how he performs, but I really like what I am seeing from him. And with that pretty much done, that is everything covered for all the information we got. Again, I'm sorry if you guys have stuck it through this video. I thank you so much, because this is just a long video, a huge yap fest, because we just had a bunch of stuff. We have a bunch of EZAs. I mean, how many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or not even 10, 11, but 10 EZAs, plus the free-to-play character right there. So much stuff to talk about, of course. So obviously thank you guys for sticking it through with me if you have. But we have all of them, of course. We have the data download, which has stages to look forward to and all that stuff, EZA battles to look forward to from Free Stones, the producer letter, the stream. So many things have happened, and thankfully we're able to cover them because this is going to be a fun time. November is always fun with the Super Dragon Ball Hero collaboration, with all the different stuff, so I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited as well. And yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. But again, with that being all said, that is going to do it for the vid. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like down below. Of course, also subscribe to the channel to show your support to me and the channel. And also comment down below, how excited are you guys for all of the EZAs and the characters coming for specifically the Super Dragon Ball Hero crossover collaboration, especially knowing that this is basically the final collaboration that we will have with Super Dragon Ball Heroes for the future. So let me know that in the comments down below, and definitely check out some of the other vids on my channel as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.